I'm Gavin, and this is MLS Fantasy Picks. Before we get into Round 9 picks, here's a quick Round 8 recap. Staying alive, a week that I thought was going to be much worse, turned out to not be too bad. Not great, but not awful. I ended with 79 points for Round 8. I had a week rank of 1,762, and my overall rank is now 107. My budget increased from $133.1 million to $137.4 million. What went right? Not a whole lot this week. Evander ended up being a great play, and he ended with a 14. I was thinking about captaining him, and I wish I did. Santee wasn't an awful captain, but I was glad that I replaced White with Messi when I saw that Messi was starting. I was also glad that I kept Bossy 6 on the bench and played Espinoza instead. And what went wrong? Plenty. Where should I begin? With Kalina and Privet not getting the clean sheet, I should have slotted in Real Salt Lake defenders and their keeper. However, I was out visiting friends and family this weekend, and I was driving back home when the lineups dropped. That Columbus lineup was not great, and I really wish I played the Real Salt Lake players. Instead of playing Real Salt Lake players, I ended up playing Raposo after I got home, seeing him out of position, and I was hoping he'd generate an assist or something. But he landed me a nice 0 instead. Chicho's 3 was also disappointing, but I still would have started him. Also, Bouanga didn't hit like he normally does. Is he falling off fantasy superstardom? We'll have to keep an eye out on LAFC in the coming weeks. Alright, enough of my pity party. Let's take a look at the MLS Fantasy Picks leagues. Looking at the MLS Fantasy Picks Open League, shout out to our league leader, Metonymus Prime. Great name, by the way. Metonymus had Evander off the bench, Captain SP, and strong players in every position. The MLS Fantasy Picks Open League is growing and growing each week. Welcome to everyone who has subscribed or joined the league, and if you haven't yet, the link to join the league is in the description below. Looking at the head-to-head league, we've still got 9 undefeated teams. Well done to everyone in both leagues. Alright, let's get into round 9. As always, before we get started, some key considerations for this round. By team, we've got Philadelphia this week, so, see what players they've got if you want to use any switcheroos or auto-roos this week. And for injuries and yellow cards, just keep an eye on some players. I think Blake got hurt. Also, Crepeau and Portland got a red card. And I think some other starting defenders got red cards, so that may boost, chances for the teams competing against them. All right, getting started with keepers. And I'm not recommending any big money keepers this week. No one really stood out to me this week out of all of the matchups. There weren't really any expensive keepers that I really liked. Who I do like this week is Steve Clark at home against Austin. Houston are at home with, I think, an 8:30 p.m. Eastern time game. So you could put Clark on your bench in like the front end of a keeperoo. I like Houston's chances. I also like Melia and SKC at home against St. Louis. St. Louis did get a 1-0 victory against Austin, but they're still not that great. I do like Sporting KC's chances here as well. And then quite a stretch, but Miami at home against Nashville. I know Miami are a bit leaky in defense, but Nashville also hasn't been super impressive with their attack yet this year. So, also throw Calendar on the bench, see how Miami does if they get a clean sheet against Nashville. And then for your back end of a keeperoo, I would recommend someone like Kalina. Charlotte are at home against Minnesota, and I feel like Minnesota are still coming together. They're missing Reyno, so he's a good backup option for a late game. And then for your budget keepers, I've got Stefan at Colorado, home against Dallas. Dallas are not looking great if you've seen how they've been doing the past few weeks, and Colorado, I feel like, are doing a bit better. I really wouldn't think I'd be calling out Colorado for a defensive play this fantasy season, but here we are. Dallas are not looking great. He's a cheap option. Yeah, if you need it, go for Stefan. All right, let's take a look at defenders. First up, I've got Lennon at home against Cincinnati. Lennon didn't do too great against Philly last week. I'm hoping they, rebound against Cincinnati this weekend. Maybe if GG's back in starting, Lennon might get some more chances, crossing in some balls, and hopefully GG being on the end of those, getting some goals. So, yeah, I like Lennon this week. And you'll see some trends as well, with the defense I'm recommending along with my keepers, for those clean sheet chances. You could pull, you could look at Dos Santos or, Escobar, any of those Houston defenders at home against Austin. I did call out Gressel here. Miami are at home against Nashville. He has been risky the past few weeks. If, he doesn't hit, he gets taken off around the 60th or 70th minute. So he's a risky shot, but, does have that attacking upside. And then I've also got more of a flyer pick, Reagan or Rodon from Seattle. They're playing the later game, the 10:30 game. There could be some goals, Seattle versus Vancouver. But, Seattle have looked better from, an offensive standpoint. And Vancouver only put in like one last week against the LA Galaxy. So we'll see. Maybe Seattle's a good shout. Another player I like on the standard pricing is Leibold from SKC at home against St. Louis. I like that matchup against St. Louis. They haven't been too impressive yet. And Leibold, I don't know how to pronounce his name. I've seen on the attacking side generating some possible assists. He's getting some shots off. So hard to tell, which SKC defender might hit, but, there's always a chance. And then I've also got, your Charlotte defenders with that late game on a Sunday. I've got Privet, Malanda. I think Malanda is still coming back from a potential injury. So whoever's, starting at home for Charlotte, they could be a good option to fall back on. And then, again, your budget pick, Mr. Bombito from Colorado at home against Dallas. It's a bit of a stretch, but Dallas have not looked great. Colorado are looking better and better. And another stretch pick is Aragoni from Chicago at home against Real Salt Lake. So I did see him last week. He had the clean sheet, and I think he got some bonus points on passes and key passes. So he's not expensive. He's in like the 4 million range, 4.6, I think. So a bit of a flyer, but if you're looking for a differential pick, maybe look at Aragoni. All right, looking at midfielders. I've got Thiago Almada at home against Cincinnati. Hard one to pass up. I feel like a lot of people will have Almada this week, which is, there's good reason to. Cincinnati haven't been the same. They are a pretty strong team. I like Almada this week. I've also got Heel, a bit of a stretch pick, and he isn't the cheapest, but, Toronto are Toronto, and they haven't looked super great the past few weeks. So Heel's away. Heel's not the same, fantasy lock as he has always been, but he's on PKs. He's the chance creator for New England. Could be worth the stretch there. And then some more straightforward picks. I've got Puig from the Galaxy. The Galaxy are playing San Jose this weekend. I'm expecting a lot of goals in this game. The Galaxy are looking great from an offensive standpoint. Same game. I like Paintsel a lot. They're both very expensive, but they connect. If you saw Puig's pass to Paintsel in that finish last week against Vancouver, it was beautiful. I expect to see a lot more for those two against San Jose. Speaking of San Jose, I've got Espinoza. I don't think, got a goal or assist last week, and he still ended with an 8. And the Galaxy's defense aren't super strong. So even though San Jose are away, I'm expecting, goals on both sides from this game. And then moving down to the standard pricing, I've got Santiago Rodriguez, or Santi, from NYCFC at home against DC United. DC letting goals. Santi and the, NYCFC are looking much better. They're at home, so I still like Santi this week. And then Bossy. Bossy's playing, I think he was at the false 9 last week, but he might have been in the 10 position. Either way, he got an assist. I think he ended with a 6. And they're at home against Austin. So I like Houston this week. I like Bossy. And I think Bossy's on PKs, so he's got that going for him as well. And then I've got Eric Tommy at home against St. Louis. He had a couple nice goals last week, but that's sort of the main, I guess he is pretty goal dependent. Otherwise, his floor is usually around a 4. So a bit of a stretch starting Tommy, but, St. Louis still aren't super consistent this year. And then I've also got Mihailovic or Bassett from Colorado at home against Dallas. Colorado looked pretty good last week, and Dallas do not look great. So I feel like there's a lot of good chances coming from Colorado's midfield this week. Saying all that, I recommend you put your budget in your premium and standard midfield. But if you're looking to save some money, Gomez was a part of a lot of chances with Miami last week. They're at home against Nashville. If he's starting and the formation looks good, Gomez could be a good look this week. And forwards. Who else but Cucho Hernandez? While he did let us down a couple weeks ago, I like Columbus at home against Portland. Hopefully he doesn't get a red card, does something stupid. I see Cucho bouncing back and being the strong fantasy performer we like to see. And of course, Lionel Messi. If he's starting, you start him. Messi, he's Messi. I don't know what else to say. And then I've also got Suarez. I'd recommend Messi over Suarez, but Suarez is also there with that attacking threat from Miami. And then more of a stretch play as Real Salt Lake are away. It's Cucho. It's Chicho. So Chicho did not, perform super well last week, but I still like Chicho. And then finishing off, got Jovic, Galaxy at home against San Jose. Who's going to be scoring for the Galaxy? It's hard to tell, but I still like Jovic. And then at the standard pricing, I've got Gigi from Atlanta. Hopefully he's back this week as he definitely upset Atlanta attack. And more of a stretch play, I've got Bernadeschi at home against New England. So Bernadeschi's floor sits around a 4 for a forward, which isn't awful, but he really hasn't been scoring a lot this season, so that's a bit of a risk. They are playing New England, though, who aren't looking super great, so it could be a good stretch play. And then I've also got Willie Agata at home against St. Louis. Sporting KC are looking good. They're scoring goals, and Agata has been their guy up top. So we'll see what their formation looks like. Agata could be a good shout. I've also got Rui Diaz. Rui Diaz has looked better. He's on PKs. They're playing Vancouver, who've let in some goals the past few weeks, so I like Rui Diaz. Then also a stretch pick, Liel Abada from Charlotte at home against Minnesota. He looked really good last week. I think he's coming into, getting used to the MLS. And I think he got a goal, so yeah, could be a good late option if, none of your bench hits. Then some fun plays here at the budget options. I've got Martinez from Montreal, who I think did pretty well last week coming off the bench due to injury. We'll see if he starts, but if you need someone cheap, Martinez could be your guy if he's starting. Another fun pick, not my favorite, but it's Navarro in Colorado at home against Dallas. He was in the right place at the right time last week. He's on their PKs. He's not too expensive. He'll definitely get you a price rise. However, I like a lot of other forwards this week. But if you want to take a stretch pick, differential pick, look at Navarro. Same deal with Vargas. Not a huge fan, but he got a goal last week, and he's cheap. Could be a late option if you don't have a lot of funds. And yeah, you want to take a flyer. And finishing captains, who else? Leo Messi. He's Messi. They're at home. He's Messi. And then I've also got Ricky Puig, LA Galaxy at home against the Quakes in Paintsville. LA Galaxy at home against the Quakes. I'm expecting a lot of goals. Hard to tell who will hit this game, but both I think are good captain options. All right, so that wraps it up for this week. Thanks so much, everyone, for watching, and good luck. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to never miss a video. Also, don't forget to join that open league. It's a lot of fun, a lot of good competition this year. Please feel free to leave a like, drop us a comment with any questions. And also, if you've made it this far in the video and are still listening, I'm thinking about going live this Wednesday, sort of doing a, build my team with me, share my team. I'll walk you guys through that process that I go through. We'll see how that goes. Yeah, so feel free to jump on the live stream if I end up doing that. And maybe I'll do some, rate your teams or whatever in the future. But yeah, we're having fun. We're making content. See how the channel grows. But all right, that's my spiel. Thanks, everyone. Good luck.